Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Site Crusader. And today, I think this is like maybe your second time on this show, Shauna, but usually she's on my other show, The Expendable Show. But Shauna's going to join me today. And because I feel like she's probably an expert in this field we're going to talk about today. So I thought about her today and I was like, you know what? Let's put Shauna on the show today. So today, so first things first, if you like the show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. Wednesday, we will be back into the Expendable Show, and I will be doing probably a later edition of the show, probably later than 7, because the Ohio State Buckeyes play Oregon in the bowl game at 5 on New Year's Day. So I will wait until after the football game's over because, we got to watch the Buckeyes beat the Ducks.
Oh, please.
I knew you were going to say something, Shauna. You jinxed it last time. You were rooting for the Ducks.
I am going to wear yellow and green just because.
No. You're fired. But today, I thought since this is going to be the last show of the Site Crusader for the year, that we would try to look at. I'm not real big on New Year's resolutions because nobody follows through on them. So I'm looking at this as let's try to change a behavior going into 2025. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do as people moving into the new year, why not make some changes? We have a new president. There's all these, new things like they're going to redo the government, going to redo all this stuff. Let's redo the way we see relationships. So that's what I want to talk about today. How do we improve them from the last few years? So I've been seeing this all over my Facebook, and I don't have like a humongous Facebook following. I think I got like 1,200 people on my Facebook, but a lot of the people on there are single women. I just attract single women, I guess. But one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of them talk about how bad the men are and how bad the relationships are and how nothing's like the relationship between man and woman is just not clicking anymore. And so I wanted to talk about those things today and kind of dig in. And Shauna, what do you think that we have a problem there?
Absolutely. I mean, most of it comes from miscommunication, but
Right.
But yeah, it's multiple. It's a lot of problems, but I feel like majority of it is communication, and it results in people being with the wrong people.
Okay. I mean, that's fair to say. I definitely think communication is huge, and we're going to find out what all entails that here in a second. So I wanted to go through and look at, they haven't compiled all the statistics from 2024 yet. Obviously, we still have a few more days left. But in 2023, 59%, Shauna, 59% of Black adults were unpartnered. That's a lot. That's over half. So that's a big statistic there. So that gives us something to kind of look at, there's some of these problem areas. So 38% of Hispanic adults were unpartnered, 33% of white adults, and 29% of Asian adults. So either way, all the groups are high. I think maybe the Asian adults one is okay at 29%, but I think the rest of the demographics are high. So that tells me like that the relationship side of things, people are not succeeding in relationships, period. And I would like to see us trend a little bit more on the positive side there. Obviously, you're not always going to pick your Prince Charming on the first try, or you have your happily ever after on the first try. But it doesn't mean that every relationship's going to end up like the one that didn't work before. And I think that's something that would be good for us to look into going into the future, into this year. So in 2021, actually, the marriage rates hit a 50-year low. Like 2021. I didn't think that it was going to be like that. But however, that
A
the
lot of
number
people were forced into those.
well, and we had it was during COVID too, so you couldn't really leave the house to go get married.
Exactly. Well, no, here's the thing. There's a lot of people there's a lot of people who got married at home, but that's what I'm saying. A
Yeah.
lot of that was people forced, like, oh, okay, well, we're kind of stuck here. We can't really go anywhere because of COVID. So a lot of that is because the people were having to be stuck with each other. But now you're seeing, at an all-time high, because now it's like, okay, we can go back outside. I don't actually like you.
That's not very nice.
Well, it's the truth.
Right. So since then, though, the marriage rates have been going up steadily. So we are seeing more people getting married. In 2022, around 33% of the marriages ended in divorce. And that's down from 41% that happened in 2002 and 2010. So we are seeing a lot of divorces and whatnot. So why do people get divorced? Let's talk about that. I found some of the top factors of why people get divorced, and we're going to talk about those things and why. Number one, 75% of divorces are from lack of commitment. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I've lived through that twice. It is a huge problem. That's not funny, Shauna.
I'm sorry.
It's a problem though. And I always knew it in my last relationship, in my last marriage. I always felt like she was half out the door all the time. I knew it. I just knew it. And and that's what happens. When you run into people like that you're in that kind of relationship, those people tend to, if they have one foot out the door, they are going to run from you. And they do. And so that's a big problem. So I would say when it comes to being in relationships with people like that you get that feeling from, maybe have a real conversation about that and really lay out your expectations once you get to a certain point to where things are a little bit serious. And now you have to sit down and say, look, I like you and I want to continue a more serious relationship with you. However, I do notice that you do seem to be looking for reasons to go. And that's not where I'm at. I'm looking for someone who's not going to run and really make those expectations known. And I don't like to use the word expectations because that's a pressure word. But at the same time, that your partner has to know where you stand on that. Are you a pit stop kind of guy or are you a forever kind of guy? For me personally, I don't get into relationships unless I tend to see them out. What do you think about the commitment, lack of commitment, Shauna?
Well, I'm in a younger age group than you, but I feel like a lot of it is, a lot of the people are just now starting to like look at commitment as a good thing in my age group. But I think it's just like you said. I do agree with what you said about just laying. Well, I don't know if you want to call it, since you don't want to call it an expectation, but a standard. Like this is what level of a standard that I want in a relationship. If it's not going to progress like this, or you're not even remotely looking at me for those possibilities, then let's just go ahead and not waste each other's time. And I think a lot of the time people mistake their sexual or physical attraction for somebody versus actually like, okay, is this person a good person? Like, am I enjoying my actual time with them outside of all of the other things? Can I see myself progressing with you to something more serious? And then what happens a lot is that you get to a point where the lust is run out and you're like, okay, I actually don't like you as a person. We don't really get along. We're fighting a lot. Let's just break up. But now at this point, there's been a lot of damage done when it could have been from the beginning. But I'm a very transparent transparent person myself. Like, I know who I am as a person, so I kind of like to just lay it all out. Okay, if you don't want to deal with this, and that, then I'm probably not your type of person. So let's just not
Right.
even open that door. But
No,
more people
I mean,
need
that
to
makes
do
sense.
that. More people need to do that though. Like, you know what you want. You know, like, what you're okay with looking past. If you're not okay with him having a side eye for other women and you see that he tends to do that, then maybe he's not the one for you, as much as you would like for him to be. If she's not committing the way you would want her to, let's just maybe say, okay, this isn't going to work for us. I just feel like more people need to do that. But
Right.
people are afraid to be alone, so they settle for things that they shouldn't.
That's fair. That's fair. I have that problem. So that kind of leads me into the next one. So we're at almost 60% of people get divorced because of infidelity. I don't think this is a big shocker. I think that we live in a society where infidelity is very temptful. We're in a hypersexualized society, especially here in the Western world, and a lot over into Europe. We're in a highly sexualized society. It's just a fact of the matter. That's where we're at. So we are constantly stimulated by the bold and the beautiful all the time, and society runs it down our throat. So I don't want to say that it's not in our nature to feel that way, because it does tend to be
I don't
that
agree.
way. You don't? Okay. Well, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
because I just feel like there's self-control, but I also feel like it's one of
Right.
those things, like, you're not going to do what you don't want to do. If you truly care about somebody and you love them, or you care about them enough to not want to hurt them because you know what's going to hurt them, so why would you do it? That's the whole thing.
True.
Like, a lot of these
No, you're
people
right.
they're not ready for, like, you may meet a great person, but you're just not there where they need you to be. And that's the problem. Like, people don't, they're selfish and they think about themselves a lot of the time in a situation, and you're not thinking about the other person. You may really like this person, you may think that they're amazing, but are you ready to love them the way that they need to be loved? Are you ready to commit in a relationship the way that they need you to commit? And what happens is, women will be like, well, I want to get married, I want a family, I want us to, like, just be me and you. But he's not ready for that. But you know she's a good woman, but you're not ready for what she needs. So what happens is, you're the pressure, and what happened? You cheat. It happens every time. You're
Right.
not ready for the level of expectation that person is ready for you to give. So you have to be selfless and say, you know what? I can't give you the things that you need. I'm going to have to walk away. That's how you're going to get less damaged people. People damage people because you're being selfish and thinking about yourself in a situation and what they do for you. But you also have to think about what you do for them.
Right. No, you that makes complete sense. And so you really need to kind of dig deep into yourself and ask yourself, are you capable of loving that person like they need to be loved? First, you need to find out, how do they like to be loved? And then decide if that's something that is easily done in your wheelhouse. Because if it's not easily done, you're going to have relationship issues, because they're always going to need something that you're not providing. Now, the next one is about 58% is because there's too much conflict in the family. So I've been in that situation. I've been in a lot of relationships. Okay. So I've failed a lot. So I know how to fail. So this is one of them. I was in a relationship one time where the girl's family was super hyper focused on the relationship that I was in with her. And they wanted to make every decision. And so people who know me well know that I have an authority problem, and I don't like listening to anyone. So that was a big problem for me. I did not want to be in a relationship where people outside of the bond that I had with the girl was going to start making decisions for me. I didn't think that was fair. I didn't like it. And so it didn't last long. And so it was, I'm out. The next one, 45% young at the age of marriage. I've been there too. I got married, almost right out of high school. And I mean,
Jesus
we made
fucking
it.
Christ. No way.
I mean, we made it 10 years. We were married 10 years. That's a long time. I remember when she was walking down the aisle, my best man leaned into me and he goes, "I'll give you 6 months." And I was like, dang, man, that's it. 6 months. We made it 10 years. So, I mean, we lasted longer than people thought we were going to. But we made both of us made a lot of really dumb mistakes because we both were young, 18, 19 years old, two stupid kids getting married and not having anything and trying to juggle all these things. And it just, that built up over time, even though at the end of it, things were getting easier. And I was like, dang, you could have left like when things were rough, not when life was getting easier, but whatever.
But see, that's the problem with men. Men want women to put up with like this shit. And then it's just like at a certain point, every woman has their boiling point. Just because you're like, well, dang, we're in a better spot now. Okay, but think about all of this she's endured up until the 10 years. She's tired. No. And you want her to keep going. Like, that's the thing. Men are like, well, I'm doing better now. Like, I'm not cheating now. Yeah, but you cheated for the whole fucking 15 years, damn near, of the marriage. Like, no, you can't expect her to, like, just continuously keep getting hit and beaten down and not get fed up after a certain point.
I mean, that wasn't necessarily the case of that relationship. It was more, I'm not real sure what the problem was at the end. But like both parties made their fair share of stupid decisions during the course of that marriage. I thought we had, kind of weathered the storm together between both of our stupid decisions on stuff, but it didn't work out that way. And it's okay. So the next one is financial issues is about 37%. I can understand that financial issues. You can't predict them sometimes. And so sometimes when you think you have a good nest egg and you're doing good, then boom, something unexpected happens and it causes problems. Financial issues is always going to be a problem in a relationship unless you're, the rich and the famous, you're going to have issues. The next one is substance abuse at about 35%. That's a problem. I cannot relate to that one. But I can see where substance abuse would be a problem. You can't, if you're with someone who's an alcoholic, it's going to be tough to get them to function very well. If you're with someone who's a drug addict, it's going to cause you financial problems. It's going to cause you all kinds of mental health problems, all this. There's a lot of stuff with substance abuse that can easily destroy a marriage really fast. The next one is domestic violence. About 24% are domestic violence related. It happens. It's something that I think it happens more common than not on both parties, on both sexes. So, just keep that in mind, come up with a plan. It only takes a fraction of a second to get arrested. It doesn't really take that long, and it really doesn't take a lot of effort to get arrested. So what you guys need to do is develop a cooling off period when you get upset and make a game plan and execute it. Don't be around each other if you know that there could be a potential tendency.
I just feel like if somebody makes you upset enough to where you want to put your hands on them, then you shouldn't be together. I think it's more than just like, oh, you need to go cool down. No, if you feel the urge to, like, your hand is twitching, you want to backhand somebody every time you get upset with them, I think it's okay where this is not healthy. I think we need to call it quits. This because the whole thing is, it's like when you're in a relationship, it's not supposed to necessarily be easy, but it's supposed to make sense. If you're always uncomfortable, not happy, things like that, then you're not good for each other. Like, you have to admit that. Like, you got to be transparent. Like, this just isn't working. Like, we do not work well together because of this, and that. I think we should just be friends, or I think we should just go our separate ways. I think that's okay to say. Like, people are so afraid to be honest with themselves and honest with other people. And that's why a lot of people are hurt in the process. That's why the divorce rate is so high, because people hope they can change somebody, hope that things will be different once they get married or have kids, things like that. No, if a person is showing you who they are and they're consistent in doing that, then you have to believe them and you have to make the best decisions for yourself.
I mean, that's fair to say. That's a good statement. You know, you got to keep yourself safe. It's really that easy. The next one is like severe diseases. So that's 18%. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I think it's petty if you get divorced over a severe disease. I think you become the lesser person to do that, because when you take a vow, you make a vow under God or the state of wherever the hell you live that you will take care of them in sickness and health. So I don't agree with that one, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, because some people don't believe in that kind of thing. They think, well, if my person can't take care of me, then I can't, continue to be with them. So just like you were talking earlier, Shauna, so when you want to save a marriage, you have to prioritize open and transparent conversations. You have to be able, if you're with your partner and you're in a committed marriage, you have to be comfortable enough to talk to your partner, and your partner has to be comfortable enough to receive the information that they're going to get. It's not always going to be what you want to hear, but you have to look at your partner's perspective, that it was probably pretty difficult to talk about these things, and that you should probably respect that they're having that kind of difficulty communicating with you on a subject that's bothering them. And I think both parties need to develop a sense of patience and a better sense of communication. You're not going to be able to solve problems without it. You want to really identify the root causes of your issues. So when you have a problem, I'm really bad at it. I will beat around the bush and not tell you what my root problem is. So that's something I'm trying to work on as well, to where I can just get it out. Just say whatever it is that's really bothering me, just get it out and get it over with, and trust that my partner is going to be understanding of what my real issue is. And if not, we can hopefully sit down as grown adults and work it out. You also want to show genuine affection. When you're trying to work these things out, you can't show like a sarcastic, fake facade that your partner's going to sniff out. Your partner knows you better than anybody else. They're going to know if you're full of shit or not. So try to, be genuine. Just be you, and talk these things out, and be compassionate towards your partner. It's the person you married, so it's the person you love. So it's, give them that compassion that they need. I would consider also going to couples therapy. I know it's not the popular thing to do. I know trying to get two people scheduled in one place at one time for therapy is going to be hard to do in today's busy society. But if you have a way to do it, please do it. I think couples therapy is very important, to have that mediator that will allow both of you to be completely honest with each other, while having a mediator help you sort these things out. Generally the mediators are never going to take a side. They're just going to help you sort through the information. So I believe in that. And I think everyone who is having an issue within a marriage should consider going to couples therapy. And you have to understand that your partner's not going to be perfect. They're going to have shortcomings. And you have to know that. And I go into a relationship knowing that. I'm actually really good at this. I'm good at knowing that my partner has flaws, and no matter what those flaws are, I'm going to learn to respect them. I'm going to learn that they're hers and it's part of who she is, and I'm going to love her. I know there's some things out there that are extremely damaging, and I should not do that for. However, most of women's flaws are stuff that a guy can get through. And so I automatically have that. I'm not going to run from the things that are my partner's flaws. That is something that I already have set in my mind going into a relationship. So I think that's important. So one thing, so you want to, there's some key steps that you kind of want to do. And I kind of made some notes of these. So you want to identify issues. Be quick to identify issues. If you ignore them, then you're going to prolong the problem. Generally, you're going to create more animosity, more anger. Things are going to build up, and you're going to have a worse problem than what you would have if you would have identified it sooner. Clearly pinpoint what these problems are and that are causing the strain in your marriage, and just get them out and just deal with them. Like we said, open communication. Take responsibility. If something's your fault, take responsibility. My problem is I overtake responsibility, and I generally take responsibility for things that I don't even do. I just do it because I feel like that's my role in a relationship, is to make sure that that my partner is not held accountable for anything, that I will take the fall for her every time. I get yelled at all the time for it, but that's how I think. I don't think my partner should ever be punished for anything. I should take all the fall for her. And I do that. And it's probably bad sometimes. Once again, seek professional help. The next one, focus on positive aspects. Sometimes you get caught up so much into a negative thought process, and I've been there, to where you can't see the positives anymore, where you can't, you're so upset that you can't, roll over in bed and just look at your partner and appreciate how beautiful she is and how much you love her and all these things. And you lose sight of the beauty of the relationship because you're hyper focused on the things that are upsetting you. And we need to be conscious of that and really start to work towards how do I correct that thinking and go back into looking at my partner in a better light. Well, hello, G Bro. Thanks for jumping in. Next, practice empathy. You want to look at things through your partner's perspective, and it's easier said than done. I know that. But it is doable. You want to receive the information that she's giving you and then turn around and look at it and go, why is she thinking this way? And start to put a little bit of thought into it. I always look at Shauna and think, why does she think the way she does? It doesn't make any sense. But I haven't figured it out yet. So maybe one day I'll figure out why Shauna thinks the way she does.
Oh, shut up. You just haven't tapped into this level of peace in life yet. You can learn a few things.
Is that right? Okay. Well, maybe I'll try to work a little harder at that. But try to understand the angle that your partner's coming from. You find out if she's got something on her mind, receive it in, and then look at it from her perspective as to how does this make her feel, and how does she want to feel, and see if there's something you can do to help her feel better. It's really that simple. I don't understand why us guys make this way more difficult. I know we're bullheaded and we have, we get set in our ways with stuff, but women are really easy, delicate creatures, and we should be able to figure it out. Go ahead, Shauna.
Well, y'all got a lot of slim pickings nowadays, so I'm so sorry for y'all.
I'm not going to get into that because that's kind of a negative thing. But I know what you're saying.
Listen, it's not, see, that's the problem. You can't talk about only good. You got to talk about the bad too. Because relationships are hard. They're just not this easy, magical thing.
I mean, yeah, you're right. But we will move on. So you want to show affection. A lot of women know what their love language is. If it's touch, you want to hold her hand. If it's words of affirmation, make her feel good. Just show her that whatever her language is, learn it and do it. It's going to pay dividends for you guys. And she's probably going to be very impressed that you pay attention to these tiny little details. Set boundaries. Okay. So you have to have healthy boundaries and expectations within the relationship. If you have a partner that is constantly trying to give you expectations that are unachievable, you are going to fail every time. So that's when you need to have a conversation with your partner and say, look, I don't think I can ever achieve what you're asking me to achieve. I'm trying, I want to, but it's impossible. You've given me a bar that's so high, I will never be able to reach it. And that's not being a failure. That's being real, because you can't sell your own self to appease everything that your partner wants. You have to have that boundary that says, I will go to hell and back for you, but I am not jumping off a cliff at the same time. So that's probably the best metaphor I can give for it. So really understand that you both need to have boundaries and you both need to know where they're at. That's going to help you avoid these unattainable expectations, and things will be a little bit more smooth. Prioritize quality time. I'm huge with this. If I'm not getting quality time with my partner, I get cranky. I need to have that because I want to feel bonded to her all the time. And if work gets in my way too much and I lose that bond, I freak out. So I have to feel it. I want to know my partner's still on my team. Yeah, so that's a big one for me. It's probably because I'm needy. Probably needy. Work on personal growth. You're not going to be able to make somebody happy until you've made yourself happy. Find things within the relationship, whether it's your own time or time with your partner, that you both can grow on. You're never going to get there if you don't have your own time sometimes. It's just something we need. As a guy, I need to be able to breathe sometimes. I need to be into a setting where there's no kids running around. There's no wife telling me 1,000 things I need to do. I just need to if I want to sit down in my yard chair and just stare at a tree for an hour, that's what I want to do. And so we need to make sure that we take that tiny little piece of solace in life and utilize it when we need it, because that is a form of therapy, just having that time to decompress and breathe and let that frustration out into the universe. And then we can start to readdress the relationship. So try to avoid criticizing and blaming each other. I know it's hard to do because usually somebody is making a mistake. So it's easy to look at that person and go, you did it. It's your fault. But let's try to avoid that. As a partner, you want to be there to say, I'm here to pick you up. Change your approach. I'm sorry that this happened to you. Come here. I will lift you up. That is what you want to be, that soft landing for your partner. Instead of criticizing and blaming, be there. Just be there for her through everything. Even if it's a character flaw, women are going to have characters, probably many different voices in their head as well. It creates a scary time. Try to sleep with one eye open.
Oh, be quiet.
I was just making sure you're still paying attention. So stonewalling is one. So don't withdraw from conversations or refuse to address issues. That's like giving the silent treatment, not saying anything. That's stonewalling. You're just basically trying to just not incriminate yourself so she'll just go away. That's not going to work. It's going to create more doubt and more problems. So don't do that. Just deal with it. Just deal with the problem, get it out in the open and be done and walk away. Well, not walk away from the relationship, but go get back into your zone. Once you dump that, you're going to feel a lot better anyway. So contempt, avoid behaviors that show disrespect or disdain toward your partner. Do not disrespect your partner. Do not speak ill of your partner around other people. I think going into 2025, if we can build a better respect amongst each other, this is going to pay dividends for us in the future. I think that, if you're willing to disrespect your partner to her face, you'll do it behind her back, and then pretty soon you're gonna completely betray her. So just start practicing positive behaviors right off the bat, and that's gonna help you make it to, maybe 2026. Let's try to make it to 2026 in our relationships. Past grievances. So this is where you have old situations and old arguments that keep coming up and keep coming up. At some point, you have to dump it. You can't keep bringing it up and using it as a throwing knife at your partner every 3 months. That's not going to work. You're going to beat your partner into the ground and steal every piece of self-esteem that they had. And yeah, maybe it's their fault, but you can't punish them over and over and over and over again for it. So let's work towards forgiving. And if you're in a marriage, you're going to have to figure out how to forgive them. If you're not in a marriage, if you can't get past this problem, now it's time to walk away before you get into a more committed situation where there's going to be investments and money involved and houses and cars and 401ks and IRAs and retirements. You're going to have all these things wrapped up if you let this go on, and you still can't get over this past mistake your partner made.
And children.
Children, yes. We forgot about children. So there's a lot. If you continue on a path that you know is going to be bad, but you're going into it because it's easier to do, you are setting yourself up for financial failure later. Fact. You're setting yourself up for less time with your children later. Fact. So let's wisen up to that and either fully commit to this relationship, work to make things better, or walk away before it becomes a super serious situation like a marriage. I don't believe that we should walk away from every marriage that we get into. We've watered down the importance of marriage, and I think that's something that we need to rebuild back up as a society. Shauna, do you have any words of wisdom for the ladies out there?
I think that, my dad used to tell me all the time, with myself and my sister, that at the end of the day, we hold all the cards. Men can't sleep with themselves. So I think you have to be very committed in yourself, in love with yourself, because the more that you're in love with yourself, the more that you're not willing to put up with from somebody else treating you wrong. Like, you have to love yourself to a certain level that you're not going to allow somebody to disrespect you, make you feel less than yourself, put up with things that you wouldn't normally put up with, that you'll excuse because it's like, oh, I love this person. And a lot of the times women do that. They're like, oh, well, he makes me happy, so I can kind of overlook him doing this. And then you look 10 years down the road and you're like, now he's doing other things that you're not comfortable with, but you've opened the door to allow him to start doing things that you would never allow anybody else to do. So I think you just have to stick with that standard for yourself, really truly know who you are, be grounded in that, because at the end of the day, you doing that is going to allow you to find somebody that truly values who you are. And it will save you a lot of heartache. And it's okay to be alone. Like, I think women need to know that too. It is okay to be alone until you find somebody that is worth sharing your space with. It is
I
okay.
disagree. It's not.
No, it is very much okay to be alone until you can find somebody that is okay to share your space with. And don't, like, oh my God, for the younger women, stop having children with people you don't know. Like, there's so many things that are out of your control with having kids. So just stop laying down with people that you don't even know. Like, you need to know people's family history. You need to know their mental health. You need to know what their financial stability is, because what's happening is there's a lot of broken homes being created. There's a lot of single mothers that's being created. And at the end of the day, the real people who suffer are the children, because they didn't ask for any of the situations that they're in. They didn't ask for the parents. They didn't ask for the dad that's not going to do anything. Like, the kids didn't ask for any of that. So you have to realize the decisions that you make affect them more than anybody else. So it's okay to say, you know what, as attractive as he is, he just does not go for my standards. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to leave it alone. It is okay to be by yourself until you can find somebody that is worthy of your space. Just remember that. Love yourself more than you love them. It'll pay off in the long run. That's all I have to say.
I figure I'll just put a post on Facebook and say, hey, I'm tired of being alone. And whoever the first person that comments on it, that's who I'm going to date.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
Now, are you encouraging me, or are you telling me to not do it? I can't tell.
If you like it, I love it. Who am I to tell you not? It's your
no.
life.
You're supposed to keep me from doing bad decisions.
No. And that do you? Okay, so you can acknowledge and recognize that is a bad decision, but you would still do it.
That was a trick to see if you would give me the good
advice.
I
can't tell you not to do something for your life,
or let me jump off the cliff.
I don't think that's a good idea.
You just let me jump off the cliff.
But no, I wouldn't let you jump off of a cliff. I mean, what purpose would jumping off of a cliff be? But it's your life. You got to do what you feel is best. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's a very bad, poor decision, especially with you being 2 times divorced. I think that's a very poor decision. But who am I to tell you otherwise? It's your life.
But what if I pick like the top 3? Like, if I just the first 3 women that respond, then I can just pick out of those 3.
I mean, why would you be okay? So here's the question. As a friend, you've already had, unfortunately, 2 failed marriages. Why are we just randomly picking women? If anything, I think you should be very much more selective in your decision making when it comes to choosing a partner. That's just my opinion. But if this is what you want to do and just do a draw 4 and see how it turns out, then you are more than welcome to. Who am I to judge?
No, I think I'm just gonna be single for the rest of my life, because I like to podcast and write books, and women are gonna take up all my time.
Okay, well, that's fair. Priorities. I mean, a lot of men need that. So I can't even be upset at that one.
Yeah. See, problem solved. Just develop so many hobbies that women they don't have room in your life.
Well, boom. Forever alone. It's okay. You still got the cats and Yeti, so you'll be okay.
Yeah, I do have a dog and 2 cats. And they're not really worth anything right now. They're just all laying down. I'm scrolling.
What are you scrolling to, Lord? Okay. Let's get candid, people.
So so when we look at commitment, and so that's a big one for me, because I've been in 2 marriages and I was fully committed in both. I would have stayed married to both of them until the end of time. That's just how I do it. I was very clear when I went into those relationships that is how I do it. That I don't just get married just to have something to do. I plan on, you are my wife until I die. Well, I have married 2 women that didn't think that way. So there is a cultural decline, as Shauna had to go because she had something to do. But there is a cultural decline in commitment. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at in society. Things are different. And, we see this in everyday society. This isn't just a relationship problem. This is a problem across the masses. You just look at the bowl game from this weekend. The University of Miami's quarterback quit. Oh, never mind. Shauna's jumping back in. But the University of Miami's quarterback, he set a record, and they were down by 7 points. And so he said, well, I broke the record, so I'm out. You guys finish the game on your own. That is a breach of commitment. And this is where we're at as a society, where we get what we want, and then we don't have to be committed anymore. It's just I did the bare minimum. Now I'm not responsible for this anymore. That's not how marriage commitment works. That's not how friendship commitment works. That's not how family commitment works. When you get married to someone, it should be unconditional. There should be no conditions. There should be no breach of commitment. But here we are in a world where breach of commitment is a very common thing. And I think that is something that, as we look into 2025, that we as people, as society, as married people, as single people, as in relationship people, we should be looking at that and going, how do we make these decisions better? And how do we take commitment more seriously? And that people aren't just a pit stop. And because what happens is you're it's a fact, and I hate to say this, but you're gonna rack up miles. And then you're going to be, the more miles you have, the more unattractive you are to people. So, we're destroying ourselves as people as well, to where the intimate moments aren't quite as intimate because we've ran up so many miles. But that's my opinion on that. And I think that it's fair to say that. We also have and I don't want to pick on the women too much, but we also have the rise of hyperfeminism, where you have everything is a for the woman now. Well, we need to do this and we need to do that. We need paid more. We need this. We need that, which is fine and everything, but you're degrading the man. You're taking away the man's ability to do what the man was put on this earth to do. Now, am I saying that the man can't go into the kitchen and cook dinner? No, I love cooking dinner, and I love doing laundry, but I also love doing the manly stuff too. I would rather my partner, I want to do all the work so she doesn't have to stress about doing work. And, and the feminist movement does hurt that, because if I'm not doing those things, I feel useless in the relationship, that I don't have any value. And I want to maintain my value in the relationship. So we have to really understand that, yes, it's okay for a woman to have her individuality. It's perfectly okay. However, we should create a balance there, to where the man doesn't have to give up his masculinity and his place at the table to appease the ultra feminism that a woman may bring to the table. And I'm not saying feminism's bad. I'm saying that it's probably a good idea to take this alphaness and this feminist and find a happy medium balance with it. So that's all I'm saying with that. Shauna, what do you think?
I mean, it's a double-edged sword, and I get where the women are coming from, but also I feel like if you have a man who
Do we lose you, Shauna? We must have. I will talk.
no. Can you hear me?
No. Yes.
Okay. I said the thing is, it's a double-edged sword, because I can get where women are coming from, but I also feel that if you have a guy who understands what he needs, like his role in what he needs to be doing to make you feel secure in your feminism, then you have to allow him to be the man. It's okay to let him take the trash out. It's okay to allow him to give him some tasks that you know he will complete and get done for you. It's a difference if he's always disappointing you and he's always never doing anything that would help you in any way. But if you know that he's the dependable type of guy, then allow him to be the manly guy that he is. You be feminine, sit down, let him get his job done in order, because a lot of the times men just want to see you happy. So if that's the case,
Well, we lost you again, Shauna.
can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm going through these fucking trees. They're trash. Okay. But I was like, women struggle with that a lot, and especially single women, because they're so used to having to make the decisions on their own a lot of the time. So when you find somebody that's like, hey, sit down, I got it, it's very hard to relinquish the control because they're not used to having to do that.
Right. I mean, it is a little bit different, and it's the same thing as if you're, when we have all these different types of men, and we have all these different types of women now. The society norms are getting more complicated, where people don't know what their roles are anymore, and so I think we need to get back to simplifying things. You have a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, whatever the scenario is. I'm not gonna diss on any type of situation, but I think that there needs to be a conversation about how you portray yourself as the man in the relationship, or how you portray yourself as the woman in the relationship. That way there's a clear path to communication success. I think if you don't have these conversations, you're going to end up with this power struggle in the relationship, and you're going to end up heading to divorce court, most likely. So overall, we need to come up with a better idea, a better way. Patience and communication is going to be huge, and I think that we need to do a better job of that in relationships. Going into the new year, let's try to save more relationships, save more marriages, work through some of these issues. Sit down with your partner and communicate properly. Get these deep-rooted situations out in the open so you guys can deal with them as a couple. I want to see more family structure in the next year. Maybe that's, too much to ask. I don't know. I would like to, have that in my own life again, going into the next year. So we'll see how that all pans out. Which of the top 3 that comment on my Facebook page, which one of them's the best. But I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it that way. But that is going to be our show for the day. And hopefully, we've brought some things out in the open that we can have serious conversations with our partners about. And, going to the new year, let's have a positive year this year. We've had several negative years in a row. It's time to bring some prosperity into this world. And we can do it together. We just have to communicate. So thanks for coming on the show today, Shauna. And like I said,
Bye, guys.
I will be back on Wednesday, and I will let everybody know what time, but we will be back into politics. I got some big news about an investigation that I'm working on that I'm going to share with everyone. It is like top tier. I'll tell you all on Wednesday. But I'm out of here. Peace.